Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Tomorrow is the big 900th edition of SmackDown. And I know I don't do these for SmackDown a lot, but I always treat Monday Night Raw like it is the A show, doing the 5-show previews. But we've done it for SmackDown before, back when they first did the brand split. They were doing the first live one. Since then, honestly, I've heard from a lot of people that WWE SmackDown really is the show to watch for people. That people have sort of switched it up. Monday Night Raw has become the fast forward show, while SmackDown is really has a back to the '80s sort of feel. And there was a time when SmackDown was that really awesome show to me. But if you go back to back when they really were doing gimmicks, yet once again they had the Leprechaun, they had the Boogeyman, they had King Booker. It was like everybody had a gimmick, and it was like, watching wrestling as a kid back in the 80s, when you had wrestlers, but they had second jobs and things like that. But SmackDown really is putting it together, and I wish that I could find a way that SmackDown really got plugged in as Tuesday is must-see television for me. And I think it's going to have to be, because Monday Night Raw really isn't doing it for me, and I keep hearing such good things about SmackDown that I think I'm going to have to start checking that out more often. The big thing for the 900th edition of Monday Night Raw is going to be the return of The Undertaker. I don't really know if this is just going to be The Undertaker, showing up, doing a one and done, or if this is actually where they're going to be starting something for Undertaker that's going to go on to the future. We've seen in the past where Undertaker is showing up like on the 1000th Raw, and he came down with Kane, and I think that they ended up being jumped by what would be three-man band, but they weren't really together at the time. Just three dudes just came running down trying to beat him up. We had Undertaker, we had Kane. They were able to hit their tombstones, and they were able to go off in a moment. It was just sort of like, wow. Undertaker and Kane, they were back together and they were on Raw. Didn't really mean anything to any of the upcoming pay-per-views. Didn't really mean anything to the upcoming WrestleMania. Just was that feel-good moment. Undertaker and Kane, to me, honestly, is the one storyline that WWE has stayed true to throughout the years. Where it goes back to Undertaker burning down the funeral home, where his brother Kane was still inside of it. Undertaker thought that Kane had died. Paul Bearer actually raised Kane, and I know they came up with a book. I never read it. I think I read a review, and then I got bored and I didn't even finish it. But I think WrestleCrap did a review of the book, where it just sort of told the history of Kane as like a real novel. And it told some stories that were involved in the wrestling storylines, and they told some stuff that had nothing to do with wrestling at all. Undertaker showing up on SmackDown, showing off that he is, true blue. I know that this is the 900th edition of SmackDown, but I think it's cool that they're actually giving a moment to SmackDown that's actually going to mean something, because I've even talked about this with the, Goldberg versus Brock. It would mean a lot more because of what happened at the end of SummerSlam with Shane being beat up by Brock Lesnar, that maybe Shane recruits Goldberg, and Goldberg actually does his debut on SmackDown to sort of at least say that Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar are paying attention to what's going down on SmackDown when he challenges Brock Lesnar. And then, the Survivor Series already has a feel of Raw versus SmackDown, that it sort of does this. So you could have Shane at ringside during this match, locking eyes with Brock, and it makes you sort of get the tingles of like, WrestleMania is coming. Oh, this is going to be awesome. But there's a few different storylines that they could go with. Of course, you go back to WrestleMania 32, the match that WWE wishes you would forget, where basically it was Undertaker versus Shane in a Hell in a Cell. If Shane won the match, he would gain control of Monday Night Raw. What do you know? Shane lost. Shows up the next night. Vince gives it to him anyways. You did a good job, buddy. And I think actually Vince sort of said, I don't know how long this is going to last, but you can have this. You can have this moment. And, from there, Shane's been in the company, and now he's in charge of SmackDown. So is, Undertaker going to congratulate him? Is he going to shake his hand? Or are they going to act like it never happened? It could be anything. We could just see Undertaker come down and the lights go out and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Could they be building to WrestleMania? I think the two matches that honestly I want to see Undertaker have at WrestleMania this year is either Undertaker versus Cena or Undertaker versus Finn Balor. Anything else is just, I don't think it's going to matter. Some people have said, Undertaker versus Randy. We've seen that before. Undertaker versus Bray. We've seen that before. Undertaker versus Randy was a great match. Undertaker versus Bray made me want to fall asleep. It made me wish I was standing in a hot dog line. Nothing about it was cool other than the Bray Wyatt entrance. Undertaker's entrance was pretty cool too. A lot of people complained about it being, during daylight and it not being as cool. I don't know. I like the WrestleMania 9 entrance of the Undertaker, and there was daylight there, and I don't think anybody's ever complained about that. Truth is, I don't think the Undertaker's appearance on SmackDown tomorrow is going to mean anything in the long scheme of plans. I think that maybe WWE will insert some sort of a tease, which when it breaks down, coming around WrestleMania time, is going to mean nothing. And you're going to hear me talk about it in my videos. Remember that one time Undertaker showed up on SmackDown and looked at that guy? Nothing ever happened. Sort of like Undertaker, or I apologize, sort of like when Brock Lesnar was going through the halls of the WWE offices looking for Triple H, and he stopped and he stared at that Brock poster. We never got to see Brock versus Rock. Never happened. I don't know, but SmackDown's got the 900th Raw. Undertaker's going to be there. Got my 2 thumbs up. All right, for the 900th edition of WWE SmackDown, they're bringing back the Cutting Edge, where basically Edge is going to be doing his interview show, where he's going to be interviewing Team SmackDown, which is leading into the Survivor Series in the big 5-on-5 match. You've got Randy Orton and Bray teaming with AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Shane McMahon, and of course, I don't know how he's going to play into this, but James Ellsworth as the official team mascot, which is going to be out there. We're going to have Edge interviewing all of these guys. I think this honestly could be a pretty cool segment where Edge, in the past, I think one of the biggest cutting edges that I can remember, honestly, is where Edge had John Cena before the Brock Lesnar match at Extreme Rules, the Brock's first match back in WWE when he made his return after WrestleMania 28. I can remember Edge looking at John Cena and sort of burying their past, where Edge was the biggest rival of John Cena's throughout his whole career. They had big bad matches throughout the years. Edge slapped his dad. They had the TLC match in Toronto. They had a lot of battles throughout their time. But, he was able to say to Cena, you have to win this match. You have to win this for us. It was basically WWE versus UFC inside of a WWE ring, and you can't let us down. We have to have this win. It's a big one for us. And he was able to pump Cena up before the big one. Of course, Cena would go into that match. He'd get his ass kicked. And I think if you ask 10 wrestling fans out of the blue, I think 8 of them would get it wrong that Cena won that match. I think that most people don't remember it that way. With Team SmackDown, honestly, you have a dynamic of, there's more heels on this team. Ran out of memory there. I had to patch that up. Basically, you got a dynamic of there's more heels than baby faces. How is this team going to come together to be able to actually win this match for SmackDown? I don't think that Randy really is a heel. Shh. Don't tell anybody. But, when I think about, Edge being able to bring this team together, I think of Edge being one of the biggest stars that SmackDown has ever had. I made a video today talking about the SmackDown 10-year anniversary. They put him there on the cover as one of the biggest guys there, right next to Jeff Hardy and Eddie Guerrero. Edge, he's one of my favorite guys. He's one of a lot of people's favorite guys. He came to the tag team division, became a single star, became a main eventer on SmackDown, and really was one of the guys that carried that brand. Edge, Batista, Undertaker, throughout some years. And you can even look at sometimes when they put Edge back on Monday Night Raw, it was almost like he just wasn't the same guy. When he got drafted back there, I think in 2010, maybe 2011. Well, that it couldn't be 2011 because he retired in 2011 because that's when WrestleMania 27 was, but that last run where he was on there, he just got lost in the shuffle. He wasn't a number one or number two guy. It was almost like he was like number 4 or number 5. They needed him for some tag matches for Monday Night Raw. He never was really a pay-per-view main event guy. Um, he just was there on SmackDown. He was the man. He could carry the ball and he could run with it and he could really show it up. I think that this SmackDown match means a lot to SmackDown to show that they are the number one brand. I really think that they are going to win this match. I don't know how they're going to do it because I think that honestly, somewhere in this, we're going to see the Shield reunite, even for just one brief moment, even if it is, Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns finding a common enemy, whether that's Kevin Owens or Chris Jericho. They're going to do it. When you remember that four-way match with Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns, and Orton, they were able to reunite for 1 second for the triple team powerbomb through the table of Randy Orton. Even that, Rollins tried to soak it in a little bit longer than he should have. And then they beat the crap out of him. It is what it is. But this is a big match for them. Edge, I think, has to find a way for them to break down the walls of babyfaces and heels. This is Raw versus SmackDown. This is not Ambrose versus AJ Styles. They'll have their match at TLC. That's not Survivor Series. That's TLC. That's down the road. They need to come together. Shane McMahon's got a lot of stuff on his plate right now. Running SmackDown, doing Shane versus Stephanie on Monday Night Raw. He's got the Survivor Series match. You've got Shane versus Brock as a WrestleMania match that a lot of people are thinking is going to happen. So how is he going to get through this? He needs a compadre and Edge, and I think he's going to get it. So we'll see what goes down with this, and I'll see you guys down the road. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here tonight. We have a big Intercontinental Championship match on the 900th edition of SmackDown, which is going to be taking place. Ziggler versus The Miz. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not the biggest SmackDown guy, but I don't think that Ziggler has given Miz a rematch since No Mercy. I know that they've done a lot of tag matches. They've done a lot of this. They've done a lot of that. I honestly thought that Miz was going to jump ship from SmackDown and join Monday Night Raw. There's a lot of things about this match that make me sort of cancel out any plans that I thought that was going to be going down. I thought there was a way that they would work out a trade. There's been a lot of talk since Smack Talk, or Talking Smack, last week, where basically Miz and Maurice were begging Daniel Bryan to trade him to Monday Night Raw because Daniel Bryan wants to trade him for somebody like Cesaro, somebody who wants to be a real wrestler who's going to go out there and fight the fight and not be scared of being in any battles. I know that after Monday Night Raw tonight, they're doing a State of the WWE address where everyone's going to sit down at a table and talk about what's going on in WWE. Stephanie, Shane, Mick Foley, Daniel Bryan, they're all going to be there. It's going to be hosted by Renee Young. I thought that maybe to bring him some anticipation for what's going on there, I thought that we would have some sort of a trade made that day. So maybe when this match takes place on SmackDown, maybe this will be a Raw versus SmackDown match. Maybe it will go down. But I also thought that maybe Miz would insert himself in the Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler match somehow, getting involved. I thought maybe Miz would insert himself into the main event. Well, not the main event, but the Raw versus SmackDown Men's Survivor Series match. I thought that since he was upset that he didn't get added onto that match and he wanted in it so bad to show off that he is an A-lister, I thought that he would insert himself to sort of screw up that match. I think that this is going to be a big match, but I think that one of the easiest things being a wrestling fan there is to see is that there's not going to be a title change. Ziggler's already got a match at the pay-per-view, and what are they going to do? Just make it Miz versus Zayn? That doesn't make any sense with all the press that's already out there for being Ziggler versus Zayn. So I think this is going to be a match. I think that easily, if you didn't have the State of Address, you didn't already have the Survivor Series match named, this would be a bigger match than it is. But I think that it is what it is, and we have to just hope that Ziggler and Miz are going to go out there and blow the house down and have the best match they've ever had in their lives. But Ziggler has to win it. Maybe you do some sort of a wacky, controversial finish where Miz is going to get his rematch. I think that honestly, separating the two, No Mercy was a high point for Ziggler. It was a great match for Miz. And going back to the well and trying to do this once again after skipping a month of Survivor Series, it's not going to work as well. So we'll see what goes down. But push all your money. Bet the house, bet the farm, bet the truck, bet the car. Ziggler's getting the win.